Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. How are you?
Good.
Weird? Sammy?
I thought you were talking to me.
You speak for the world now?
Sometimes.
When did that election happen? Was there an election?
Not recently.
Or is this one of your Jew takeovers?
We don't talk about those.
I talk about the Six-Day War all the time.
Well.
Yeah. We rested. On Sunday.
We took 6 days to rest.
Yeah.
Did it all in one day.
I'm incredibly excited to be back from Philadelphia. Sammy's home away from home last year. I had a wonderful weekend. I want to thank everybody at the Fine Helium Club, a wonderful club there. And a damn fine part of town, the Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
It's all about the Rittenhouse Square.
Rittenhouse Square.
Oh my.
Very nice.
Somebody said it's like Central Park, and I said, you mean it's a postage stamp of Central Park?
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
It's tiny, but it's fabulous, and it's flourishing with people outside, and of course that's what they meant.
Yes.
But I had a great time, and all the people there were fantastic. And
you had some visitors from my hometown.
we had some visitors from Pittsburgh, PA, Ambridge.
Yeah, if you want to get a little more specific.
If you like
Ambridge.
fireworks on the eastern seaboard, you know Zambelli.
You
Fireworks.
know, George Zambelli.
Wait, people came from Pittsburgh to see you in Philly?
They were friends of my family.
They have a home there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that is not exactly a day trip.
No.
It's a long day trip.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah. The Wysick and the Zambellis.
The Wysick.
A
single.
Wysick.
But
yeah.
Just it's one of my Jim Fox's old cronies.
Yeah.
And then, you know, George Zambelli of the Zambelli Fireworks magnate.
Yeah. You've seen the Zambelli
You've seen
fireworks
Zambelli
without even
fireworks,
knowing,
I
like the
promise
last
you.
16 presidential inaugural things. And the assassinations. They're always there for the
Great.
assassinations as well.
Great.
That's what you want from a fireworks company.
Assassinations.
And before that, we missed you because I was in Cannes, France, with Jerry Lewis at the premiere of Max Rose. Boy, was that fucking surreal.
Yeah?
He's 87, and he's getting around on a rascal. But we walked the red carpet together, me holding one hand and the writer director holding the other, 2,000 paparazzi either side. It is the most Fellini-esque stroll down giant movie land lane ever. And he's doing all the Jerry Lewis faces at the cameras. And I think I was like in every photo, but my name was like in 2. Which, by the way, if I'm writing the story, I felt really bad because there was these magazines right on the giant table in the foyer of the fantastic, majestic, Hotel Majestic. And flipping through, and somebody said, oh, look, there's you and Jerry walking the red carpet. Ooh, fantastic. And then, yeah.
Kevin Pollak or Jerry Lewis.
But then I flipped the page.
And Jewish guests.
I flipped the page, and there's Nicole Kidman. And
Ang Lee.
And Ang Lee, him not to mention. Because he was like on her arm, not involved in the film at all she was in, just happened to be on her arm in the photo. Didn't mention him.
He's only one of 19 directors to ever win 2 Best Picture Oscars. Trivia.
Wow.
I learned that from trivia.
That was pretty fucking sweet. Weirdo. Let's see. Yeah, so the Cannes was really great. It was really amazing because he faced these journalists, a room full of press conference people, and it went great. It went great. You know, I grew up always hearing the French love Jerry Lewis, and you know, it becomes a joke, and then you think it's because of the clowning. They didn't have 30 to 40 years of the telephone. They only know him as a film director and film star from the 60s. That's the only thing they know about him. And so it isn't the clown. It's this great filmmaker, because other than Woody Allen, he's the only comedic actor that directed himself in that many films, like a dozen. I mean, Albert Brooks did what, 5?
Sure.
Right? 5 or 6 tops.
Yeah.
5 good ones. And he's my favorite, you know that. So Jerry Lewis is facing this press conference, and it's going great, all kinds of questions, amazing, and he's 87, he suffers no fools, he never did, but he's really letting it fly. And then the guy stands up and says, the day the clown cried, I haven't been up since 6 a.m., which is 3 a.m. this coast time, to get it back here. The day the clown cried, are we ever going to see it? Is it true that it's locked up in a vault? Now this is something, a film he made in the 60s, one of the ones he starred and directed himself, that no one's ever seen, except for a few people who claim to have seen a underground copy somehow. But he's walked out of press conferences when someone brought it up before. It is verboten. Guy stands up, brings it up, and he says, "No, yes, it's in a vault. You know why you're not going to see it? Because it's crap. It's horrible. I was wrong. I made a shitty film. That's why I locked it up. I'm not going to take people's money for this horrible film that I made. It isn't funny. It isn't good. It's shit." And I'm thinking, why didn't you just say that 50 years ago? You would have lifted the cloud the rest of your life. That's a beautiful response. Own it, fucker.
Yeah.
Shut that cocksucker up like that. He said, "Oh, I didn't understand. There was an answer." He sat back down, little piece of shit.
That reminds me of a little film that was in Vamped Out called Jesters of the Holocaust.
Yes, that's what I won my documentary Oscar for. Yes, that was my character's Oscar, Jesters of the Holocaust. Oh, we've got to really do more with that damn web series. Let's see, upcoming shows. Sammy, anything else? Jamie, how's the Mad Men podcast going?
It's going. We're still putting up new episodes. I think we have, let's see, tonight I think is like the 8th.
Are you still new and noteworthy on the iTunes?
I think we are.
What's the name of the show?
Mad Men, You Watch It. It's the name of it. It's a Mad Men recap podcast. We really get in there, talk an hour about each episode.
Yeah, you break it down.
Yeah, we break it down.
For the real fans. None of this fly-by-night horse shit. Are you enjoying us on the Earwolf? Let us know. Write to us at contact@kevinpollexchatshow.com, you son of a bitch. Or bitches. Yeah, we want to hear from you. Write to us, please. What do you think? We're trying to get off the every other week and get back onto the every week based on your responses. Knock it off with the every other week nonsense. So we're in talks. I will report back. Upcoming shows. You've enjoyed the Arrested Development binge viewing, have you? How about Mitch Hurwitz, the creator of the show, is coming on. The Hannibal television program creator and showrunner Brian Fuller also coming on. Hilarious actor Jason Mantzoukas that everybody loves so much.
I like him.
Do you enjoy yourself some Dexter, the television, long-running television serial about the good-hearted serial killer? Michael C. Hall, star of the show, next Sunday. Watch live, fuckers. Don't be afraid. If you're not watching live, you're not going to hear this until after the Michael C. Hall episode airs.
So you blew it.
Yeah, that's right. According to the Fox family, you blew it.
Or flubbed it.
Oh, is flubbed it also acceptable?
Yes.
All
Joe
right.
also uses flubbed it.
And also internet sensation and filmmaker Freddie W. in an upcoming show, so don't miss that, you sons of bitches. Okay, let's do it. We have a limited amount of time. I've already wasted at least a minute of the last 9. All right, I'll just say it. It's been said that my guest today could be considered what Dane Cook was to MySpace. All right, he is to Twitter. And when I say it's been said, I mean just now. Number 44 on Time Magazine's 140 Best Twitter Feeds of 2013, while Comedy Central awarded him their top honor, besting the likes of Steve Martin and Sarah Silverman by naming him Funniest Fucker on Twitter 2012. Please welcome Rob Delaney. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We met many years ago when you podcasted with our dear, dear friend, Ed Krasnick, who we love so very much.
I was in the studio next door.
Yeah, and he was sort of telling me how excited he was to have you on, and I said, "It's great, Ed. I don't know who he is. What are you talking about?" And that was about 4 years ago,
Sounds
give
right.
or take. And in those 4 years, nothing at all has happened.
Not much. No, we were discussing before, 2 children in the interim.
Yeah, get going.
Thank you.
Way to have active sperm.
Thanks. Yeah, I was happy that they were. Since you brought that up, I did, they measured it a while back, 'cause I don't know what happened. Something was wrong with my genitals. I literally forget what, but they had me produce a sample, and they thought that I might have a low sperm count, but then they found out that it did, in fact, have a good ratio.
Could we say above average?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was able to impregnate my wife twice.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, in rapid succession. And now we have, for a while, we had 2 kids under 2. which was terrifying. And now we have a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old, and it's, also awful.
Starting to think about sleeping again at some point?
Yeah, I sleep when I go on the road. you
Yeah.
know. I'll go to New York next week and I'll sleep when I'm there.
Right.
But I don't sleep at home.
Was it on the Paul F. Speakeasy that you were saying when I'm out of town? It's like if she texts me or writes me or emails me or calls me, I start weeping like a child. But the moment I'm on the road someplace, I can go far, far away.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not thinking about my family, I'm not caring about them.
Sure, why would you?
But if I'm away from them, just, even by, say, more than 50 miles, and I see a photograph of one of them, yeah, I'll have to put on sunglasses and pull my hat brim down and cry, or buy a hat.
It's a pretty strong run there, one to the other.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, because you don't, when you're dating somebody, or at least when my wife and I were dating, if we didn't see each other for a while, I'd be like, hey, good luck to you, see you when you see you. And then when she got pregnant, I was like, I'm not sure I like being away from her so much. And now that we have kids, it's like, it's why you shouldn't have kids. I'd like to say that directly into a camera. Don't have them because you're going to love them and it's going to mess you up.
You're fucked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'd have mine again because it's like a disease that
Sure.
metastasizes. Some people call it love, and it's a
Freaks.
mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Let's go back to when you and your now wife were then dating.
Yes.
And you would say, hey, good luck to you.
Yeah.
What a dream date you were.
I know, right?
What the
Well, I just mean to say it's a pleasure when
Yeah.
you're in love with someone to say hello to them, and it can also be nice to say goodbye for a little while, because then you can say hello again. So I'm an advocate of relationships where you can spend time away from each other. Maybe somebody wants to go away for a weekend with one of their friends or something. Be my guest. I think that's a very healthy approach.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I like that. I'm in one of those.
Yeah.
I think.
Seem confident.
Yeah. Very confident. She loves when I leave the house. Are you kidding? It takes about 36 hours before she even wants to talk to me. We're talking about distance makes the heart
No, I was listening. I
grows
know exactly
fonder.
what you're talking about.
She
No.
has to run a chat room, so she has
Understood.
to read while we're talking. Damn her. And she's
I
also
don't have people over
sending me.
constantly.
She's sending me live questions from your fans.
Oh, wow.
One of the things you should know about the show is that we invite them in live, and they do enter.
I believe it.
As it were, through Jamie. Hello. So, did you guys live in sin before you did the thing? By the thing, I mean marriage?
Yeah, we did. We dated. When we met, she lived in D.C. and I lived in L.A. So we dated cross-country for a year.
Boy, that's fun.
I know, right? I would never recommend it, and it's not like there aren't fantastic people in Los Angeles. I'm one of those people who's like, I don't... You know how some people are like, oh, you can't meet anybody in L.A.? Well, then you're defective. You fuck yourself. You're never going to find anybody anywhere. Or you can't meet somebody in a booming megalopolis filled with passionate people of every stripe.
Right.
Save it.
You couldn't possibly meet anyone
Yeah.
that has something in common.
Ugh, it makes me puke when people say stuff like that. Anyway, but that said, I of course went to Martha's Vineyard to work at a camp for people with disabilities back in 2004. And my wife was there volunteering as well, and we met each other. And I didn't want to. When I first saw her, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm dangerously in love." And I was like, "Just stuff it down, stuff it. Be a man, stuff that feeling down, and kill it. Don't acknowledge it." So I was just like, "Look, you don't have to tell every woman you love that you love. Just save it." So I really fought. I remember calling my mom and being like, "There's another counselor at this camp, and I think but talk me out of it." And she's like, "Why? She sounds great." And I was like, "Thanks, Mom."
Yeah.
So
Can't count on her for shit.
yeah, so we dated cross country for a year, and then we moved in, and we got engaged right before she moved to LA, and then a year later we got married, and now we've been together. We've been married for 7, together for 9.
Fantastic. And I understand that she doesn't go anywhere near Twitter except when someone forces it in front of her face to see what you...
She is not on any social networks. She just, doesn't... She's extremely funny and smart and would, arguably...
Listen, I admire people who can stay away from it. Honest to goodness. I mean, neither one of us are on Facebook, and you'd have to shove a loaded gun up my ass to get me to go anywhere near it.
Yeah, well...
Which is completely and utterly an invitation.
Yeah, okay, understood.
But yeah, so geez, it's interesting that people in the research that our own JMac was kind enough to put together for me to kill yet another Saturday. that's constantly thrown at you. Your wife doesn't. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I kept reading over and over again how you had to defend yourself. So I'm not at all interested in that. I actually found it kind of great. The same way that you can spend time apart, it's nice that you don't need to share every single interest, especially your work, which is all self-consuming and self-absorbed. And so you probably want to get the fuck away from it and actually have a life and be with your family, and I would think. When you're on the podium, is there a thing, a big, the Comedy Central Award thing? And did you know ahead of time that you won?
I didn't.
So it was a real award show with the nominees sitting there?
Oh no, there were like 6 awards. There were a bunch of like real awards, like Best Comedy Television Program that people watch. But then like the Twitter award, the one that I got, which I'm grateful that they gave me, but that and like the podcast, which Mark Maron I believe won, like those were like the ones that they didn't even, they were just like after the fact, they were like, hey, you won that, and they mailed it to me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I didn't get to go to the ceremony or anything like that.
Fuckheads.
I think maybe...
I mean, in retrospect, it's a title that stays with you, and jerks like me find out about it and talk about it. And, you know, they're all just titles at some point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got to get a tux and fly. And
I mean, again, an honor to be sure, but it was not televised.
yeah. I remember
is fine.
people live tweeting it, but that was about
Well,
it.
you know what? We've got the opportunity right now. If there's a speech, thanks, gratitude you'd like to extend,
okay.
we got an open forum.
Sure, I think that makes sense. I think I'd like to say Stephen Colbert. I'm not. Are you familiar with him? Steve Martin, Sarah Silverman, and the other neophytes who were nominated. I won it because I deserved it, and come over and polish it sometime, and maybe you'll learn something about comedy.
That's perfect.
I mean, I almost threw up when I won because of those were the nominees. That's ridiculous. I mean, literally the award must not mean shit if I won it, but I'll still take it.
That doesn't sound Catholic at all. But you started out, you had some training at the Tisch School in NYU?
Yeah, I graduated in '99 from Tisch School of the Arts, from their musical theater program.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to be an actor when I was younger, and I thought, you know, you as a thespian with incredible command of your voice and body, you may understand. I thought it would be a good idea to learn how to like dance and sing, right? And so
Because you lived in the 40s.
exactly. And you know, I like to busk and wear, you know, zoot suits, and so. That's what I did, and it was great, and I enjoyed it a lot. But then my senior year of college, I saw the Upright Citizens Brigade do an Ass Cat, which is their big improvised show, and I was like, oh,
You're ruined.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. If I had been smoking homegrown cannabis with musical theater, I saw that, and that was just like shooting a speedball into my jugular.
Yeah.
Which is to say, very pleasant.
Sure,
So,
I understood. Yeah. Well, but while you're in school, I mean, here's the thing. I didn't have the discipline. I got into stand-up my first year in college, and it made it real easy to drop out of college and pursue my dreams. So, I missed that whole experience, and you actually came away with, you know, something more than just another certificate, so that you could. I don't know. It seems like it's a type of education that people in our business benefit from.
yeah, I'm glad that I did it.
Aren't there times, like maybe for preparing for an audition or something, that you're able to?
You know what's funny, and I'm actually happy to be able to explain this to you.
Please.
Now that I am making a living from things that I personally write myself and then say with my own mouth, I have become a much worse auditioner.
Absolutely.
Because I'll get, you know, sides.
And they're horrible.
And I'll be like, well, I mean, I'm like, you know, they put their best foot forward. I'm sure that they really care about what they wrote, but I didn't write it, so.
How good can it be?
So I really need to learn how to audition again because, frankly, I am not as good at it as I used to be. So I'll get cast in things now, but now it's more like cronyism or nepotism, where they're like, oh, we know that he'll do okay at this thing, but it's not because I was at some cattle call and stood out for, you know.
Well, but maybe it's based on your work now.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you did something else that I've always wanted to. I have a distant memory that I might have done one set in London, but I also know that I did a television talk show there 20 years ago. And so maybe that was just the memory that I'm having. You have the international following from the fabulous Twitter, to the point where you were able to sell out a handful of shows in London in about an hour.
It was pretty
venue
quick.
are we talking about?
I sold out a week at the Soho Theater, which is a great theater that has primarily comedians at it. And
What size venue?
I think I sold out something like 8 200-person shows. So,
That's huge.
Oh, for my first time performing outside of North America, that was ridiculous. I was so happy.
Please come to our country.
Yeah.
We've
so
sold out 8 shows.
Yeah, so that was ridiculous and wonderful. And the reason for that is a few years ago, Graham Linahan.
Yeah, I have. This is the guy that you give credit to.
Oh, yeah.
Because he retweeted you.
Yeah.
Initially, because he found you, of course, fantastically disgusting and hilarious.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here without Graham Linahan for sure.
And a little shout out to him. You must have ultimately spent some time with him when you were over there, no?
Yeah, and over here as well. But yeah, he was the first person of any notoriety to say, "Hey, people, pay attention to this snot-nosed kid."
But he's a great producer and co-creator of shows like Father Ted and the IT Crowd.
The IT Crowd. Oh yeah, he wrote every single episode of the IT Crowd. I mean, he's amazing. And
this was literally being knighted by one of the greats.
Without question. Yeah. So, but there were a lot of people. I would say there were a lot of people in the UK who knew about me before people in the United States did. So that's been very nice. I've had the good fortune to be able to go over there. I'll go over there in August, and that'll be like my 4th time in under 12 months. So that's insane.
That really is great.
Yeah, it's totally insane.
Yeah.
And I love it over there, and so that's makes me happy.
Yeah, it's my favorite city maybe in the world.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's like still has a storybook feeling of enchantment and charm and the hustle and bustle of New York. But because of that damn accent, it's still Dickens. It's just happening.
I mean, in there you can walk by a building that's 1,000 years old.
That's right.
And you can't do that here.
No, thankfully, because they crumble at some point.
They do.
Dark.
Like our bodies.
Yeah. So how about the first show you do taking the stage in London? So there's all this expectation. You've sold out these shows in an hour, which means obviously they're sold out before you arrive. That always makes a performer feel good. Does dread and the onslaught of pressure at any point? What do you go through pre-show? Because comedians are all so different.
I just like to sort of be left alone. I like to get into like a sort of like a little hedonistic bubble.
Sure.
Which doesn't mean that I want to do anything weird, but if I want to drink like 3 Cokes in a row while staring in the corner listening to like, Slayer very loud, I want to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. But
okay.
I hear you.
But you know what I mean? Like you just kind of want to go with, you want to let yourself do whatever you want to do so that you get ramped up is what I want to do. So I don't need anything particular. I don't have any real rituals other than I like to be as alone as possible.
But how do you feel knowing before that first show?
To answer that question,
do you take that with you on stage at all? Do you think? God, I would. I mean, I would just be filled with such.
Yeah. What I had done, thank goodness, was before my Soho theater shows, I came maybe a couple months beforehand to do one TV spot. And so for a couple days before that, I did some warm-up gigs around London, which allowed me to sort of kind of recalibrate, because it's not massive differences. The big differences I'll find, and plus nowadays with like cultural homogenization, we watch a lot of the same shows and stuff, so you're not going to be able to, as long as you're clear and they can hear what you're saying, you're not going to throw them for too huge of a loop. But what I found is that I might second guess myself. Like I would think like, there's probably no brand names in my set. I'm just, so I mean, it's like, That's just the guts. It's just the viscera of human experience. I don't even think I say anything that I'm of no place or time. That's what I thought. And then I would go to talk, and it would literally be like every other syllable would be like the most specific thing that happened only in one little town outside of Boston or something.
Right.
So now even that isn't that big of a nightmare, because they'll just be like, oh, that must be a thing that I don't know. But I do get like the punchline, or the thing where he sews it all together, where it's some discomfort with his like mother or whatever, that they're going to relate to. But what I had to do was not let myself trip and second guess myself, like psychologically, like a few beats before a joke would happen.
Right.
So
That's what I was going to ask you.
I think it's just a good idea if you're going to perform in a foreign country,
Yes.
which even though we speak the same language, it is. Go there a few days in advance, mess around, warm up. Just like you're not going to do a heavyweight match without training,
Did someone give you that advice, or you figured that out?
I figured that out myself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty heads up. I mean, a lot of people would psych them out to not do that in case it didn't go well. We put up all sorts of excuses as to, but so I give you kudos for sort of protecting yourself in that regard.
And you want to respect them. They're paying to see your show, so you want to do the absolute best possible.
That's all very foreign to me, but I'm sure it makes sense to you.
I just thought I should say that.
Yeah, sure. Sounds terrific. It's a great video bite. So you had a little bit of the soul-sucking 9-to-5 experience after the UCB enlightenment.
Sure.
And it said in the dossier at one point you were actually involved in the internet ad sales. Is that?
Yeah.
Before MySpace, actually.
Yeah, I was at the company that invented MySpace, and I put that in quotes because,
Is that like Al Gore invented the internet?
No, because they didn't invent MySpace. They saw at that point they saw Friendster, and they were like, hey, people like that, why don't we do one? So nobody like had a creative idea.
Right.
But
Tom?
I worked at the company that did that, and so I sold the first ads that were on MySpace, and so I sort of watched like a social network be born.
A giant one.
Yeah, it wound up being huge.
Well, now the Dane Cook connection even makes more sense, because you saw clearly how that worked for him.
Yep.
And then you...
I still haven't gotten my penis pills, by the way.
I brought them
Talk
for
to
you.
you about that?
Yeah, they're in my purse, which I'll give to you after the show.
It was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Just checking.
They may have fermented.
Great, thank you.
Not only is he the reference king, sitting next to the reference queen from anything from movies from any year, but you can also pull penis pills from MySpace ads out of your pocket.
Why not?
That's fantastic. It's why we love you, Sammy.
Please, sir.
Okay. I want to be sure to get these in because we are on limited time. Guy was kind enough to give us an hour and a half of his life, and I'm calling it limited time. I'm so spoiled. From Facebook, Martin Schneider wants to know. Now, we asked the guests we asked the audience to write very specific questions designed for you by your fans.
Okay.
There are 5 questions that are sort of Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer, just opinion.
Oh, okay.
This or that. We call them Tweet 5. T5, T5, T5 forever now.
Keckner.
The crazy Keckner. Love him to death. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Monkeys or Spinal Tap?
Spinal Tap.
Danny Trejo or Jason Statham? I know.
Trejo.
It's tough, though. Gallagher or Carrot Top?
Carrot Top.
Morgan Freeman or Samuel Jackson?
Sam Jackson.
Blur or Oasis?
Blur.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Come on. It's not even a debate. All correct, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We have another one loaded up when you feel you're ready.
I just want to say quickly, I looked up and I saw myself, and you can tell how hairy I am. I thought, oh, I won't need to shave here under my beard and here above my beard, but in fact, I really should have, because you can see that I'm even hairier than just this beard.
You look great.
You know, this is...
No, I know I look great, but what I'm saying is it's clear that I'm hairier than I wanted to project, and so I just need to go home and think about that.
Wax on, wax off. Those are the words I'm going to share with you. And nothing better than to be talking to a balding Jew about your hair problems. Tell me about Graham and your time with him. Because, we had Stephen Merchant here, who's another one of those brilliant British TV creator,
Yes.
writer, directors, and everything else. And I was sort of amazed, foolishly, by how wildly influenced they are by our comedies more so than their own. Because we look at, I mean, he mentioned Faulty Towers as if it was the Bible, and in fact it is. But we think of, you know, something like Faulty Towers or Monty Python or The Office, like, well, these are the greatest things that were ever done. And they are not having it. So what was your experience like with him?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, Graham Linahan, for example, probably knows more about Seinfeld than people in this room. You know, not everybody.
These two.
Right, but that's why I said people. You know, that guy taking a nap over there in the Yo MTV Raps hat. A major appreciation for stuff like that, and. But he's brilliant. What happened was he hired me to help him. He hired me and a few other people to help him cook up ideas for the 5th season of the IT Crowd, which wound up not happening, although they are about to do a special after quite a hiatus. So I did get to monkey around with him for a few months, just sort of generating ideas. And
how exciting.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely ridiculous, and an amazing opportunity. And he's just, unlike American sitcoms, he personally wrote every single episode from beginning to end of 4 seasons of the IT Crowd.
So there's not a writer's room.
No. And for the 5th season, he said, oh, you know what, it might be fun to collaborate with some other people. After 4 seasons of doing that.
Wow,
so
the Hitler of TV comedy writing said, let some other guys come in the office. Why do I have to?
So what's interesting is if you watch the IT Crowd, it's an amazing show. The 4th season is better than the 1st season. I mean, he just gets better and better. So, and that's even after he's made shows like Father Ted and Black Books and stuff. So he's a guy whose evolution you can see, but then truly becoming a towering master with this show. So, if he has an idea about a storyline, he didn't come to it from nowhere,
sure.
So he just makes a lot of sense, and he has a tremendous sense for story, which is the most important thing, whether something's funny or not. So I'm really grateful that I got to, learn from him.
Yeah, I mean, there's American version. I guess it's Larry David knights you and says, come write on a show with me and that sort of thing. Man, just what a great experience.
Yes.
And when you sat down to sort of have your way with Twitter 4 years ago, clearly it's impossible to fathom any of this sort of stuff happening from that. It was just an outlet for you. The way that Maron sort of talks about how his show was, well, I did Air America, I got fired from that, the thing kind of blew up, whatever. I wanted a microphone in front of my face. I needed to do my podcast. It was something I needed to do. Did Twitter sort of offer you that in terms of a comedy writing outlet? Was that, because some guys come at it and they go, I'm going to be funny sometimes, and I'm going to be, talk to my fans.
Yeah.
You came at it as not a famous comedian, as a stand-up comic who was writing and performing funny already, but you chose the route of, I'm just going to write what I think is incredibly funny.
Yeah, I could only identify it in retrospect after having been doing it for a while, but I should say at the time I was submitting to every late night show multiple times, and through official channels, like having managers give the stuff to the shows, and I know that sometimes it would make it to the host's desk and stuff like that, and I would get varying degrees of closeness to getting these jobs, but I never was able to seal the deal. And so there also at that time there was the debate of, hey, should you give away your jokes for free? Was something people were talking about more a few years ago. And for me, nobody would pay for it. So I was like, I have the sickness of needing to share it, so I was going to give it away I had nobody to pay me, so I was just going to give it away for free. And I did try to prune my Twitter bush, as it were, which is to say if a joke wasn't popular, I would cut it. So it helped me to like reduce my ego. And if a joke didn't work, I would take it out behind the barn and kill it. And so that helped me sort of not become, precious about material. I think I burped 3 times as I was saying that.
Well, the record is 6, so
Okay.
get over it.
All right.
Jane Campion.
Yeah.
No one's going to top that.
Dirty piglet.
Bitch. So when you say get rid of it, you mean, and pruning, you mean that you would remove it from your feed if people were to go back and check your feed, and you base the success on the tweets on how many retweets they got, how many comments they gathered, that sort of thing?
Retweets generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the idea of using it just as a joke opportunity is not often mastered and pulled off. So it wasn't like you were jumping into a pool of as many comedians that you would find signing up for an open mic or getting time at a comedy club even. There were just a handful of comedians, maybe Louis C.K., maybe Michael Ian Black, but maybe not yet, who were purely doing sort of
jokes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when everybody and anybody ever first heard of Twitter, I thought it was like a texting message board where you could alert all your friends what you were eating or considering wearing that day, which I thought sounded horrible. But once
why would
myself
you put that in the public?
Exactly. Once myself and other comedians kind of simultaneously realized, oh, this is great for jokes. Then I was like, oh, this is fun. So it was pretty fun for me out of the gate, I would say.
It was a fellow Bostonian, Jay Leno, who taught me my first lesson on editing. I mean, he basically said, get to the joke. What's the matter? Why don't you just get to the joke? Why are you going to talk to him for so long? Get to the joke. And when you're writing 140 characters, boy, does that teach you all about editing.
Economy, yeah.
Has that, in fact, informed how you're writing for your act?
Yes. Because my stand-up is not, I'm not a one-liner guy. I mean, universes away from like a Stephen Wright or a Mitch Hedberg, both of whom I love, but I tell stories and true things that I genuinely feel. That said, I am now definitely able to punch those stories better with punchlines, funny phrases, more descriptive language.
Yeah.
So yeah, my short game has improved my long game.
That's a porno talk, not golf talk.
Yeah, that's a porno.
By that.
Yes, I'm a 5-tool player with 2, but only using 2 tools.
Right, of course. How unbelievably exciting to hear from all the people that you have over the last 4 years in terms of the response. It's one thing to gather, I don't know if you're 600,000 or 700,000, what the number's up to. Anyone with that many followers had fame before they got on Twitter. That's the sort of uncanny thing about the number, about the last several years. And knowing that it's all due to your comedic thoughts has to be one of the more satisfying things. Whether somebody's writing you a check on a weekly basis because of it or not, as you have said in interviews, it's allowing you to sell tickets to shows all over the world.
It's insane.
Yeah,
you just really sort of crystallized it rather well. I don't think that I had ever been like, but what you just said, I heard that and I was like, that might be true, and it felt good to hear.
Right.
So I'm going to choose to believe that.
Yeah, well, you should. I mean, stand-up is one of those solo endeavors to begin with. We get all the credit and all the blame, and you live and die by your own wits on a moment-to-moment basis when you stand on that stage. Take the audience for a ride of your choosing. Stay with me.
I'm so with you. I'm just hearing that, and I hear that, and it sounds insane. Like, I know on paper that it's insane, but I'm like, I want that so bad.
It's the greatest drug ever. It's why so many of our brothers and sisters fall to alcohol and drugs, because you're chasing that high that you will not get.
I've been sober for 11 years. Right. I don't know if you knew that.
I do. Believe me. It's all over your dossier, sir.
I bet.
But I just felt like you had talked out and everyone...
Yeah. Oh, we totally don't have to talk about that at all.
I mean, I'm happy to discuss any of it for anyone who may not know. But, it's you sort of were in the 9 to 5 cubicle, said, fuck it, I'm going to go for the comedy thing, and immediately became unemployed and immediately became broke, and you're married at the time. Yeah, so...
I mean, I pulled the ripcord in 2007.
Right.
And I joined Twitter in 2009. So 2007 to 2009. I was
just fantastic couple of years.
I mean, yeah.
Gold star stuff.
Especially when in the middle of 2007, I had a job making good money in a skyscraper, buying and selling ads on the internet and doing fine. But then I remember driving, I was at Lucha Vavoom, the burlesque wrestling show that they have in downtown LA.
Do
you not know what that is?
I do not know.
Sam Levine doesn't know what that is? That's shocking.
Sorry.
Lucha Vavoom 4 times a year at the maybe El Rey Theater downtown. Is that right? Mayan Theater, thank you. They have this show, and it's half Mexican wrestlers, luchadores, and half burlesque, and it's hosted by the amazing Blaine Capatch and other comedians that he'll bring in. You cannot have more fun than attending one of these shows. It's amazing.
Right.
Anyway, my wife and I have been to many of them, and we were driving home one day from one, and she was a little drunk, and she was like, "Baby, you should be doing comedy." And this was in like 2007. I remember the next day she vomited into a Wall Street Journal bag, like the thin plastic bag the newspaper comes in, which was kind of cute. I remember that. You know how when people that you love do things that are disgusting?
You do love her.
I do.
Yeah.
She just a little plastic sock,
Sure.
and I was like, that's gonna fill up, and she just puked the right amount just to fill it, and then threw it out the window.
Put it on someone's doorstep.
But and I'm painting a picture of her like she's a drunk. She does that like once every 2 years. But anyway, that night I remember she was like, you should be doing comedy. You're funny, and I was like, oh baby, thank you. And then a few days later, I was like, I'm gonna do it, and then she was like,
what are you talking about?
Look, I was pretty drunk when I said that. I don't think that you should. And then 2 years later, she was like, you took advantage of a drunken woman. It was worse than if I'd been like, hey baby. She was like, I said that. I shouldn't have said it.
Well, we make light of it, but you really did have gainful employment, and then the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And 2 years is a long time to go through that savings and everything else that you had, whatever nest egg existed.
Oh, rapidly
gone.
Disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah. And the idea was, this will work out, just have faith with me, which is fine when you're on your own, you're living in a studio apartment.
Yeah.
To hang in there and enjoy your top ramen. But in a marriage, kudos to her as well, for sure.
She's saintly. I would marry her again right now.
Well, we have her in the other room. Can we bring in...
Sweetheart?
So, what is the first sort of nugget? Was it Graham? Was he the... I mean, he was the biggest.
That was the first time that I was like, could this lead to something?
Right.
You know? Because it wasn't like I joined Twitter and then people were like, hey, here's the world.
Well, the world wasn't even on Twitter 4 years ago.
Right, yeah. And no, what happened was not long after he hired me to do that, I got hired to write for an MTV show called Ridiculousness. And those two things happening in pretty... Oh, and then not too long after that, I think within 6 months, I got like 2 TV writing jobs, sold a pilot to Comedy Central, and got a book deal. It was insane. And had a baby. I remember got the book deal, and then a few days later, under a week, had my first son, and then less than a week later, sold the Comedy Central pilot.
Yeah.
So I was literally like, I remember getting the book deal, sitting in a parking lot outside of a McDonald's, having like a strategy session with myself, like parked looking at a wall, being like, nothing will ever work out, ever. And then I got a call from Random House being like, yeah, here's a book deal, and just being like, like rubbing the burger into my face and crying.
Yeah.
So,
and that was solely based off the Twitter.
That was based on, I was already writing for Vice magazine at that point.
Okay.
Not making a living doing that, but writing for Vice and touring a show that I did for a while called Naked and Bloody, which was an hour-long show about my experience after this car accident that I was in.
Right.
And so they saw that, and they read some of my columns, and then they asked me if I wanted to
Well, that's
write a
also
book.
a hell of a story for a book, your experience.
Yeah, I guess so, because it was a pretty base, people have their bottom, as it were, before they quit drinking often. And for me, mine was rather colorful.
And dramatic and
Yeah.
resounding, and also a great life lesson for a lot of others. And by the way, if you can share it in a hilarious way, that's a fucking book.
Yeah, well, and I made sure that I didn't do that show for years years after the accident did I ever even start thinking of doing that, because I'm of the belief that if you think like I should do a one-person show, a better idea would be to walk into traffic, because your one-person show is going to suck. Statistically, it's going to be garbage, and shame on you for even having that urge. So I knew that, and I knew that my show could not be therapeutic in any way. It had to be funny and entertaining, number one, because it is our fucking sworn duty is to make things entertaining and fun and funny if you're a comedian. Only after the fact. My thing was like, if anybody fucking learns anything, it better be 3 weeks later. Then they're like, oh my God, you know what? Like,
I drink
no
too much.
way am I going to be like, let us go on a healing journey together. You know what I mean? That's anathema. I can't think of anything I hate more than a purposeful one-person show.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
So I tried to have it have the same like laugh per minute ratio of like stand-up, but just it was one narrative, it was one story.
Right.
And I think that it mostly I achieved that, I think.
And what was the date of that phone call? Do you remember the time?
That would be, it would have been in March of 2011.
So the book's done great, and you're writing another one.
The book comes out in November, and
That's one of the most difficult things, I'll bet, that you working on this book.
writing a book is harder than raising children, because I'm serious, because the children will occasionally be like, thank you, Daddy, or like, oh, or smile, and a book sits in the corner of your computer with a blinking cursor going, fucking, I dare you, I fucking dare, come write a fucking, come write a word,
Well,
come write a word.
You clearly have some sort of level of standard.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to be like, that would be.
Well, that would be what I did. A copy of which is waiting for you in your gift bag.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, mine was really easy because it was stories, some of which had been telling in my act, but someone suggested to me that I work with someone and they sort of interview me. We did like 15 two-hour Skype sessions.
Okay.
And he recorded them and then sent me the transcripts, which I then edited.
Okay.
I got to edit my own told stories. It was incredible. I highly recommend it to anyone if you're going to do an anecdotal book.
I remember hearing, because Mark Maron, his book came out from the same publisher as is doing mine, and I read an interview where he said that some fan of his podcast sent him transcriptions of some of his podcasts, and I thought about driving to his house and beating him up with a hammer, because mine all came out of my fingertips.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's just brutal what you put yourself
nightmare,
through.
total nightmare.
Yeah.
And I would, now that it's done, I'd totally do it again. But during it, I was like, literally, if I get hit in my head and lose the power of speech and words, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because that's how hateful this was.
I get that. There's something about the satisfaction of accomplishment. I remember being, 15, 16, and my friends, two guys and their fathers are going on a backpacking trip through the Yosemite area, and did I want to come along? I'd never been anywhere near that. They don't generally allow the Jews in the park. So I said yes, nor should they. Well, we have the concession out front.
Can I say something?
Please.
About national parks and the racial makeup of people?
I
we
wish
need
you would.
more black people need to go to national parks.
This
when
is
you
where
go
we're going to
there,
have a little debate.
Well, no, here's, as you go there, Asian people pollute them. Not with trash, but I mean with themselves. They're filled with Asian people, which kudos to them for taking advantage.
Right.
Then white people, Hispanic people, everywhere, but not enough black people. Every other race is represented. So I just want to put a call out to my African American brothers and sisters. Come to national parks, they're amazing.
We're going to...
100% correct, because J-Mac and I just did a hike last week, and it was exactly the demographic. It was like majority Asians, and then whites, and then Hispanics, and that was it. But yes, he's 100% correct.
All right. Well, I think we've just got a loop we can put on the YouTube page.
You know what I'll do? My sister's husband is black, and if they have kids, I will make sure that Uncle Rob, all he does is take them to national parks.
Your brother-in-law, for the record.
That's legally yes. Right? They've only been married for like 3 or 4 years, so I can't remember.
Yeah, sure, of course. Man, I don't want to forget your fans, so let's get them back in here.
I never do.
Clearly. From Twitter, @AdamFlowers. That name ring a bell?
Yeah, he's funny.
All right, let's go to another Tweet 5. Keckner,
T5.
take us home.
T5.
He's funny, yeah. He's giving you up the Delaney alley, as it were. Not all of it. Only one. Sorry, that was a horrible thing. SF or LA?
LA.
Incorrect. Boobs or butts?
Boobs.
Dabney Coleman or Darren McGavin?
Dabney Coleman.
That's pretty great. Martin or Lewis?
Lewis.
Posey or Cabrera?
Cabrera.
Are you a big baseball fan?
I like baseball, yeah.
Okay. Clearly not spent a lot of time in San Francisco.
No, I love San Francisco. Here's the thing: San Francisco's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But there are people there who like to shit on LA, which is ridiculous.
Right. Well, it's not ridiculous, but please understand, we are those of us from that city.
Yeah.
Suffer from fear.
Okay.
Los Angeles represents the possibility of success.
Okay.
And San Francisco likes to say those are sellouts down there.
Okay.
It's a one-way hatred.
Okay.
Unless you go to the Dodger Stadium, but it's a one-way thing.
Okay.
LA doesn't even know that San Francisco's there. Everything north of Santa Barbara, the road drops off.
Yeah. That's the thing. The worst thing about San Francisco is the people there who are like
bad-mouthing
so
LA.
much better than.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You don't have to say that. Just like power of persuasion. Chill out and just be a San Franciscan, and
Yeah.
I'll be like, I want to be you
That's exactly
here.
right.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's what I want to tell people there.
I agree 100% with that observation, because but I really do believe it's fear-based. It's not
Okay.
even snobbery.
Okay.
It's just you're just afraid that you too could succeed.
Okay.
Anywho, I'm glad to hear you've been to the city and enjoyed yourself while you were
Crazy
there.
about it. I hope I die there.
You know what? I do too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that could be arranged pretty easily.
I'm not sure you need to say that. What you do need to say, though, Sam, is that you'd like to play a quick round of Who Tweeted.
I think we all would.
All right, let's do it.
Celebrities have so much to
good at it.
say.
Rob, I have all the
Is the
faith in
game
the
we're
world
gonna
in you.
play.
Okay.
Sammy, what do you got?
Oh, we got a really exciting game of Who Tweeted today. Now, Rob, you said you were familiar with the rules?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
So,
rather, familiar with who?
with who's Tyra,
Yep.
Paris, Bieber.
Yeah.
8 tweets. I'll read them one at a time. You
Okay.
feel like you know who said it. You ring in, you say your name. I'll give you 3 seconds. You say Tyra, Paris,
Okay.
Bieber. You ring in, you get it right, 5 points. Ring in, you get it wrong, you lose 3 at the end of 8 rounds, unless there's some sort of tie.
Okay.
Winner gets $20.
Andrew Jackson.
A good Andrew Jackson, not a Peter Jackson, as we discussed. His face is on the 20 in New Zealand.
How do I ring in? Do I slap or say my name?
Just say your name.
Okay.
Are you ready to play Who Tweeted?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Please.
Here we go. Tweet
Please.
number 1.
You're going down, just so you know.
Had a lovely vacation in Maui. Now time for work. Just arrived in Honolulu.
Rob. Tyra.
It's already Paris.
These are tough.
It's all right. It's all right. The game is early. The game is early. Tweet number 2.
Kenny, remember you used to help me?
Everyone go see After Earth this weekend.
Kevin Tyra.
I'm sorry, no.
What's the rest of that?
Official Jaden, we got you. Hashtag support your friends.
That's more
Justin
obvious
Bieber.
now.
Justin
Because they're boys.
Bieber.
Are they boys? Are they pals?
They're pals.
That movie is getting raked over some coals.
Oh, boy, howdy.
I'm glad.
Sure, of course.
I don't want to say that, but I just did.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we're all pretty
Emperor's
excited.
clothing will hit you too, sir, if you're not careful.
Pretty excited. They don't even need to use M. Night Shyamalan's name anymore.
Don't need to? Or
I
shy
saw on a
to?
bus today. It's. I'm looking at the credits. Story by Will Smith.
Yeah.
That's when I knew we were in grave trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, it's his baby, top to bottom, soup to nuts.
Tweet number 3.
It's -3 to -3.
I like to sleep a lot.
Rob, Tyra.
Sorry.
We're great at this.
It's all right, fellas. It's all right, fellas. That was Bieber, the Biebs.
I thought it was me,
Tweet number 4.
our cat,
Working out the stress. Best medicine.
Kevin Paris.
Tied at -6.
Yeah, we're awesome.
Ms. Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks. Guys, I would love it if we had another fight to the bottom. Tweet number 5.
Oh, this is great.
I love Sofia Coppola. Such a lovely woman and amazing director. Can't wait for you all to see the Bling Ring movie.
Rob. Paris.
Yeah, gotta be.
That is correct.
Yeah, gotta be.
Oh, very exciting. -6 to -1.
Fucker.
Going into tweet number 6, getting exciting. Chase your dream, work to the extreme. Turn on that CEO
Kevin.
grind.
Tyra.
Tied at -1.
You're going down, fucker.
It's getting exciting, folks.
Tied at -1 after 6 questions.
Tweet number
We're awesome.
7.
It's such a good game.
I love reading to keep me inspired.
That's it? That's the whole thing? Rob. Paris.
That is correct! On the plus column, going into the 8th and final tweet.
That would be the antithesis of what you've used Twitter for. It really would. That's the perfect example of the photo opposite.
Yep.
Read it again. That last one.
I love reading to keep me inspired.
Good God
That's
Almighty.
it. No hashtag JK, just the real deal. All right, Capo.
I enjoyed her in her early pornography work, but that is one hell of a tweet.
I'm a big fan of her rap music. Rap music.
It's the repeat. It's the repeat that will drive it.
I love a good Carson impression.
All right, this is it. This is the 8th and final tweet.
Is it really?
This is it, man.
Oh, I have to answer it correctly.
You've got to answer correctly to force the tie.
Yeah. Okay. Don't explain anymore.
Tweet number 8.
Okay.
Write down the things in your life that make you happy.
Kevin Beaver.
We have a tie.
Well done.
Well, I realized I had to answer immediately because if Rob figured out if he answered incorrectly,
That's right. He still wins by default.
So I just jumped right in there.
Well, luckily,
I got lucky on that.
I always prepare. By the way, you're both positive 4.
Yeah, fucker.
Just so you guys know, you are going to
We're both going to end up in the plus column.
Hey now.
So it all comes down to this. The 9th and final tie-breaking tweet. Ringing, you get it right, you win. Ringing, you get it wrong, you lose.
Good luck, Rob.
In the wild.
What? I can't be it.
Rob Bieber.
Is that a walk-off homer? What was that move?
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Rob Delaney!
Wow!
Oh, wow.
That was a walk-off
Thank
homer.
you.
Nicely
Thank you.
done.
Is how you play and
Thank
win.
you.
Who tweeted? Well done, sir.
Thank you so
Very
much.
Good
well done.
point, Samuel. Great.
Celebrities have so much to say.
Who tweeted?
Is the game that we just played.
By all accounts, a terrible person.
Yeah, right?
Just
For
awful.
real.
Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
the thing. The other reason why it is so wise to use it as a platform of a talent. In your case, obviously. Well, you know what? I want to talk briefly about because what's fantastic and what everyone loves about what you write is either it's what people are topics that people are thinking about, or body parts that people are thinking about, but there is a utter lack of censorship, an utter the opposite of censorship, of sheer freedom that doesn't really exist in any other known art form. I mean, you can go on stage and say the things that you're writing on Twitter, but even you choose not to, technically.
Yeah, I guess in ways that is true.
Right? I mean, you feel the need to have stories and share a bit of yourself, and you've probably grown as a performer because of the new found.
Yeah, well, when you're able to justify, touring because you're making money rather than going out and having like net negative trips,
Yeah.
then you do get better.
So, how much fun are you still getting out of it, or has it at all become a daily job? Is it still? You can't wait to write the next one?
Well, yeah, I sincerely enjoy writing jokes for people to consume them, and I've seen how it leads to other opportunities, so I don't feel that it's like wasted time.
It's part of your job now.
I
would think
that
part
is fair to say.
But Confucius, that crazy fuck, said, "If you enjoy your job, you never work a day in your life."
Yeah, and there's aspects of truth to that, and I try to think of it like, because if you get paid, like I just did a festival up in Napa Valley, this festival called Bottle Rock, and whenever they bring a comedian to a festival, they pay you get a good paycheck, getting to and from it, and the sort of your sensorial experience of being at a festival is pretty bad, but the check that you get makes it worth it,
Sure.
But yet you're getting paid to do something that you did for a long time for free.
Absolutely.
So that's why I always try to maintain like a very positive, grateful attitude towards any of the work aspects of the comedy career. I try to pretend that like that's what I'm being paid for, is to like wake up at 3 in the morning and get on a plane and miss my family and all that stuff, because I did stand-up for a very long time for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so.
But I also feel like you have the newest form of a daily comic strip.
I suppose it's a relative, or it could be a cousin of that sort of
It's
experience.
the reinvention, sort of, because what happens is instead of going to a newspaper, which is completely dead,
Yeah.
they're turning to Twitter,
Yeah.
the followers of yours, to read these daily musings,
Yeah.
which is ultimately what the comic strip was, that were daily.
Yeah, I guess that's true then. Yeah.
I just thought of it now.
Well, it's very smart. You're sage and savvy.
Please, I needed just a modicum of respect. That's all I asked for.
You've earned
really.
it from me.
But with that, at some point you're facing the blank page on a daily basis.
Yeah, I try not to stress about that. And again, it's like for all the good and all the bad. Like I'm ill. Like I need people to laugh at me, or alternately to be like, that was the worst. Like I need to have things yelled at me. I'm addicted to that. So. And for good and for bad, like there are times when I should have quit, pursuing having a comedy career. There are times when a sane person would have been like, you know what, I'll do something else, and
This is probably for you.
but you keep going.
Yeah, you do.
Ignoring sometimes like your physical health.
Sure.
You know what I mean? When you're eating like your third quarter pounder for your third meal because that was your only choice because you're on the road and going to shitty clubs, whatever.
You justify that however you need to.
Exactly. Thank you. And
I don't know why you got to call the club shitty
right.
in order to justify the quarter pounder. But I'm there with you.
But you do know what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. So then I'll just stop.
No, but here's the other question. And forgive me because it seems fairly pedestrian based on the type of interviews people are doing with you these days. Was there ever a moment that you wrote one of your tweets and before you tweeted it, you said, yeah, I can't even, not even I can send that out?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because, by the way, as a fan, that's not apparent.
I'll send.
What is apparent?
You know what's funny is Megan Amram and I are good friends. She is brilliant and hilarious. She writes for Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And we'll send each other things that just can't be said.
Right, sure.
And but I did one the other day that was just beyond the pale, and I was like, I tried to imagine what people's responses were going to be, and I was going to be like, yeah, I'm going to lose a lot of followers, and a lot of people are going to hate it. And then I sent it. And then I put my phone down and I played badminton with my wife for like an hour. And then I came back to my phone where people were like, you need to drink cyanide post haste.
Right. Well, as you pointed out, the only people who are bothered by your disgusting musings would be people who were retweeting you to people who were not following you and
Generally,
weren't
yeah.
already fans.
Generally.
I can't imagine anyone who's already a fan who's decided to follow your disgusting musings.
It happens, or people will have their various, strains.
All right, now
of-
you've crossed the line. Or maybe they
Yeah.
just like writing that to you.
Oh, and there are people who love to get upset.
Right.
That's why, I don't really stress if people get in a huff, because.
Oh, I beg of you not to give a shit ever.
Yeah, because you've done that person a favor. Like, if you're a comedian, you're delivering, dopamine to people. You're like a drug dealer in some ways, or you're delivering a diversion. And for some people, the thing that they want is to get up in a huff. And if you give them that, then they should say thank you. And I pretend that they are.
Well, no, the beauty of stand-up comedy, quite frankly, is that if you choose to be true to your school,
yeah,
you have that freedom. If you develop a following because of it,
yeah,
you're never pandering,
yeah,
ever. You're actually doing and saying exactly what you want, what makes you laugh.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal, I would think, for any comedian.
I think so.
I always thought when I read your tweets, I thought, when comedians, Dana Carvey and I go back forever, the only way we can make each other laugh is to be disgusting. Because anything else is just,
yeah,
that's just smart. That's
Yeah.
not funny.
yeah.
You have to go to a terrible, awful, disgusting place because you want to be 12-year-olds laughing when the parents aren't looking.
Sometimes you have to, yeah. I mean, I certainly do. It just makes me happy. I mean, it just makes me happy to say things that are silly and gross and infantile. But then at the same time, you also want to, you're trying to. I also like people. I'm not trying to anger people. If that were the overwhelming response I got from people, I would be sad and maybe not do it. I want to make people happy.
But it's too late for that. No, but I mean, you went for it.
Yes.
And succeeded beyond your expectations.
Right. But that said, I also think that people are smart and good and kind. And so they can handle, tonal shifts and things within. So, I know we're getting a little esoteric here.
Well, no, but I mean, the wonderful thing about Twitter is if someone ultimately doesn't find what you say funny anymore,
they can hit the road.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the kind of beauty of the whole thing is.
Yeah. It's
I remember
living
following
thing.
people, and Jamie and I would talk about this, and you follow somebody for a while, and you go, yeah, they just got ... fill in the blank, too much this or that or whatever, and that sort of ebb and flow. Especially if you're doing it for an audience, as opposed to some of us idiots who insist on actually talking to people, because that's just a beautiful, wonderful joy of talking to and having any conversation through Twitter is just
pretty special.
An utter waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Even the people you're talking to can't possibly be enjoying it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a nanosecond of look. I mean, every now and then you'll get some thing and it'll be like, oh, great, I made somebody's minute.
Yeah.
But otherwise, what's happening here? What the fuck is the matter with me?
Yeah.
So if you lean into your game plan, which is, I'm just going to write funny jokes. I'm going to write what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw it out there. Cut to all these years later, oh my God, I actually launched a stand-up career based on the success of these writings. That's what I mean about the sort of daily comic strip aspect of it. You developed a fanship based on your comedic musings. It's just that simple. There's there's nothing more to it.
Yeah.
So that kind of freedom. For example, if I were to ask you to pull out your phone and dial up one of your tweets right now, do you have the same comfort level sitting here reading one as you do writing one and sending it out into the ether?
Sure. Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, I think I do.
All right, let's see.
Okay.
Would you mind?
No.
Okay.
I'll try to do it quickly since.
No. We've got 6 minutes.
Let's see here.
People mostly listen to the show. They don't actually watch.
Oh, here's one that from today.
Yeah.
And this was good because why I like this one is it made a lot of people very happy and it made a lot of people very angry. And
It's the best kind.
That's my goal.
Polarized comedy.
okay, when a guy calls a woman a feminazi, it would be a funny joke for her to work him to death, then cook him in an oven.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And what I like about that one is that that's just like, if a guy fucking calls a woman a feminazi? I mean, like, what kind of piece of shit guy does that? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
That's almost safe. I would call that a safe version of a Rob Delaney tweet.
Yeah, but there were a lot of guys who were like, you don't, just some women just are too much.
And that is the perfect voice. That is the perfect voice and impression of that guy.
Yeah.
Jamie has a douchebag voice that she likes.
That's my typical guy impression. You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what they actually sound like, too.
no.
So, all right, let's
in my
go
head.
to what I'm really looking for.
Okay.
Which is, sexy, deeply disgusting. Can I share one of those?
Well,
got loaded up?
here's one that I did last night. I just knocked over my wife's purse and a box of Magnum condoms fell out, and then a frowny face. I like that because that's sad, and I love to do sad tweets where I'm
Self-deprecating
the
and
butt
sad,
of the
Rob?
joke.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's always fun.
Makes me so
I
happy.
I like a lot of times where you're like a voyeur to some other sort of
Those are fun.
alleged disgusting act.
Can I?
Please go.
This is very
go to
gross.
Crazy Town.
This is the one where people were like, no, and immediately lost like
that's
100
what
followers.
That's what I was looking for. Please, let's polarize right now.
Is I'm gonna lick your cunt till you puke, a good pickup line. And there you are. Or how about retweet if you drank your lunch out of a Hello Kitty condom? Very well. That'll do.
Yes, thank you. I could not have asked for more. As I spit up on my notes, those are perfect examples. Wow. Yeah. Listen, you've actually paved a sort of new path in the forest with a machete in each hand, and I did want to sort of ask. The reason for the Dane Cook reference earlier was he was the first one to sort of use the platform for marketing in a way that stand-up comedians either hadn't thought of or hadn't figured out a way to master. And this is not even a debate about the quality or lack thereof of whatever he does as a performer.
I will say I saw him fucking destroy at the Laugh Factory recently with a joke about a 5-car pileup or something
Sure.
that he witnessed, and it was one of the most like mature, well thought out arc joke stories I've ever seen.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, this is more about using a social media platform. What he was able to accomplish, the reason that I made the reference, was that then every comedian afterwards was like either on the phone with a fellow comedian or an agent saying, and someone on that call was saying, why the fuck am I not doing this? He didn't, well, I can't really say whether he did or not because I wasn't watching or following, but it seems to me he didn't have the workload, the creative workload that you have set a pace for yourself, which is to write that daily comic strip. But now there are other comedians without question. Are you fielding any of these, or is all of this happening and you are slightly aware of it? Because I assure you,
Oh, do you feel
like it or not, you're the leader of the pack, and there are guys in the path behind you saying, I have to master this.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure, there are people who are doing that, certainly, because I'm doing it, and I know, and there are people that I admire on Twitter, and I can't believe the amount of amazing jokes that they write, certainly.
I notice that you retweet people that you think are funny all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the fun things also is to support other artists. It's kind of a great place for that.
Fucking best.
Yeah.
Because also, I mean, like, you've been around longer than I have. There's enough to go around. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
if you
boy,
don't-
is there.
And if you don't come up with your own original shit, then you're not going to go anywhere anyway. Or
Right.
if you do, it'll be for 20 minutes. So definitely, like, camaraderie and upping each other. I can't think of in a million years of a reason not to do that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure there are people, younger people, starting out comedians who think, oh, I should also write jokes on Twitter all the time. And if you want to do that, do it. I mean, I want to do it. Like, not only do I love to hold the mic in my hand and, do an hour or two of stand-up constantly every night, if possible, I also enjoy writing those jokes. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't. And there are people who don't. You know what I mean? Like
That's why I felt earlier you were saying, you did answer that in terms of it feeling like a job. It doesn't. You're doing it because it still makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And every time you sit down to write one, it's not because it's 4 o'clock and you have an assignment.
right.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the all of it.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's working out for the moment.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to envision a day when it no longer interests you. It either will or it won't.
Yeah.
But man, thank you so much, honestly.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
I really feel like you've changed the way that comedians can pursue a career, and that, whether you want to face it or not, is an extraordinary accomplishment. And congratulations, honestly.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Please sit there uncomfortably for the next 90 seconds
hang
while I
on.
wrap things up. Did you have a follow-up question?
I just, you aren't going to let our guests go without a Larry.
Without a
King
Larry
game.
King game. Fuck.
Okay.
He gave me $20 earlier. That 20 was a wash.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have to do it. All right, that's your camera there. When you're ready,
Okay.
I will reiterate. Thank you, Sammy. I will reiterate the rules if you want. Bad Larry King impression makes it real easy. I don't want a good one. And then you're Larry sharing something about himself
Yes.
from any point during
Right.
really human history, because
Sure.
he's not a young man.
I know, right?
And then you go to the phones. It's really like a little buffer about himself, and then he goes to the phones. And if the name of the city is funny sounding, everyone's going to be
Okay.
happy. When you're ready, sir. UCB audition, let's call it that.
All right. 1971, I put 3 fingers inside a golden retriever. Peabody, Massachusetts. Go.
Just the 3. Thank you very much. That is how you play the Larry King game. Nicely done, sir. And again, thank you. Let's see if we can't get you back to your young family. Thanking today Keely Maroney on makeup, sitting in for her own Samantha Ward, who's out of the country apparently. They refuse to tell me
She's
what.
on her birthright trip.
That's right.
She's Jewish, and she went to Israel.
Oh, that genius went to Israel. Well, we may or may not see her again. Kenny, I want to thank you. As always, Dr. Chen, evil as ever. Sammy and Jamie, thanks. Justin, Josh, and J-Mac out there running the shuttle. Elaine Ewing from the social media. As threatened, if you're watching us live, tune in next Sunday for the great Michael C. Hall, he of Dexter and so very much else we'll talk about. We're going to try to set up some live theater versions of this show. Watch the Twitter feed and I guess the Facebook page of KP Chat Show that Elaine runs for us for more announcements on that. I believe that is it. So until next time, and as always, get out of my face.